mentally feel like Kobe, I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats, circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready? Who ready?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, followed by my partner, as always, Brother Dante. Missed you for a couple of weeks. Good to see you, my brother. Waiting for Coach Ferg and Shawnee. Hopefully, they'll be up here in a few. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. As you see scrolling at the bottom of our screen, you see our Cash App. So, again, we appreciate any support that you give us. But if anything, just make sure as you come in, hit the like button as you come in. Make sure that it helps us out with the algorithm and whatnot. But, you know, it's interesting that we're here together. As you can see here, we have the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers, two of the iconic franchises in NFL history. Had a great rivalry, certainly in the '70s and you know whatnot. But you know, we're on the couch, we're watching the activity as it goes on. So we got our own horror stories tonight. So tonight may have a different feel tonight. This might feel like a moratorium. We got to put a bow on this season. And we got to talk about some of the things that what is going on with our franchises. Seem like from different sides of the spectrum here, but you know, we've got some major decisions to make in the offseason and whatnot. So let's just get the elephants out the room, because obviously, Black Man in his wisdom, he actually put us the banner on here. You know, the decline of the Steelers. So, but like these colors here say, I don't run, and so again, we gonna get it out in the open in terms of what has been happening with them and what the future is going to look like for the Steelers. And I'm sure in the next half, I'll pass it off to Dante, and hopefully when Shawnee gets up, they can talk about what's going on in Dallas and the rumors that will not die in Dallas in terms of what the next moves are. And then hopefully we'll get into, again, we got some college football title game coming up this coming Monday. And so, so certainly, and obviously you had the NFL playoffs. So, which I struck out on. I think I only got one right the whole time. So my office pool is trash already. So I don't have anything to add to that. So, but before we get started, Brother Dante, just wanted to just do a check. How are you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing fine, man. It's just. I will say last week, I literally went to the store for 3 things. It took me 2 hours because everybody panicked. And the one thing that I needed was something for my son. And I was like, if I get snowed in, I'm going to have to walk to the store.
Yeah, but so it was kind of like, I know the snow was coming in, but it seemed like it wasn't as big as they thought it was going to be, but people were just being trying to prepare. Was it?
People panic buy. And then the thing is, we're built for heat, not for snow. So a little bit of snow, a little bit of ice.
Right.
We can't really drive on it. We're skating and nobody knows how to really drive on it. So It's just like you have to go to the store. It's like, and I forgot. And I was like, hey, before I do my show, let me run by the store. And it was just like, they were like, oh no, the line's back there. And the line started at like the meat section. And it's just like, This is half the length of the store. And so it's just like, they was like, yeah, everybody kind of had the same idea. And so it was just like, oh man, but it ended up as usual. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't like 2021. Some places had like 4 to 6 inches. Some places like mine where it was enough snow for the kids to be like, hey, I went out there and played in snow. So it was the world to them. And then everything else is kind of got back going up on Friday and Saturday. So.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. And now, what was the buzz like? I know we're going to talk about the CFP a little bit later on, but I'm just curious. I mean, obviously, for Texas, I mean, if it was anybody else, I'd be like, okay, well, fans are just going to come. But I mean, it's almost like a home game for Texas. What was the general vibe like down there? Were people excited? Everyone's rocking their Texas burnt orange? I mean, what was the general sense? And did you even give a thought to going? What was the ticket prices like there if you wanted to go?
Well, there was a thought for me to go as a Texas fan. When I looked at the prices for the Clemson game, I was just like, it was cheap enough for me to be like, hey, I can get a cheap ticket. Go in, drive down to Austin, maybe stay the night. And then it was like, then I saw that there was like seats available at the second game at the Peach Bowl. And so right after that, I was like, let me check and see. And then I think all Texas fans had the same idea. And what I've heard was they were like, hey, I've got to play to these multiple games. Maybe I'll go to the SEC championship game. That's the first one we've ever been in. But they were like, hey, I'm not going to go to all these games. But when they said right here at AT&T, then it was like hey, everybody had the same idea. And the ticket prices jumped. And then when Ohio State was going to be the team you played, it jumped up a lot because that's a big brand. But there was a lot of juice to the game. There was a lot of excitement. Because I'll say this, some Texas fans are irrational. And they were like, hey, we got to. And it's just like, look, we've been in the doldrums for a while to make the playoff back-to-back years. Although the quarterback we had wasn't as great as we wanted him to be, he still won a lot of games, beat a lot of rivals, and brought legitimacy back to that quarterback position. You're hoping Arch can take the torch, and his expectations will be through the roof. But there was a lot of buzz and juice around the game. And there was a lot of it mainly because as Texas, you're not used to being such a massive underdog where all the national shows are like, you're going to get obliterated. And then to come out in the game, it was a good game, and it was close until the last play, the last offensive play Texas had. It was a lot of juice about it, and it was a lot of somber about after the loss. But it was a thing where you saw the Born Orange presence in the city in the Metroplex before the game. I wasn't able to get out on Thursday, but I'm pretty sure I've seen Ohio State come here before when they played TCU, and they have a massive presence. But I could tell in the stadium, it felt from people I heard that was at the game. Yeah, it was a pro Texas crowd. And that's why, and I saw people in the suites and stuff. But I'll say this. I was against the 12 teams, but I felt the juice and the excitement of it. And I watched every round. I knew I was going to do that, but the last rounds have been better. That Penn State game was pretty solid. So it's just like it's shaping up to what we want it to be as far as competitive. And just, the later game.
We gonna talk about it because I got my thoughts on the game coming up. But shout out to Andre Terry, who's in the house tonight. Now, again, I don't see how this is possible. He says that he was rooting hard for the Steelers because his lady is a Steelers fan. So you got an Eagles fan and a Steelers fan in the same house. I don't see how that's possible. That'd be like you, Dante, married to a Washington Commanders fan.
And my thing is, I actually had to deal with a Commanders fan. My late grandfather was a Commanders fan. He lived in DC. He would call long distance after every game they played. So it always been special to me when we beat them. That was always a special thing. So it's just like, I'll never do it again. I'll never willingly, knowingly. It's like, hey, no, we can't do that. I got the perfect situation. My wife did not have a team. She's not big sports. She was like, "Your team's a
so she became she married into the Cowboy Nation.
She married into this.
I got you. All right, so let's just get this thing started. So obviously, there's a lot of, and again, I'm almost having to put all of my Steelers fandom aside for a minute. So I'm having to block my Facebook groups. And all of the Steeler channels and whatnot, the fandoms, those who follow the games and whatnot, because again, just like every year, we're in the same place again. Where again, just a month ago, we were at 10-3. We were 2 games up in the division, and basically, I think we needed one more win, and we would have possibly sealed the division. We had a collapse. Now, usually this has happened in the past. Last year, we went on a stretch where we lost 3 games in a row, but then we were able to win out and again, get into the playoffs. We needed a little bit of help. I think then the Colts had to lose, and we got into the playoffs. But yet another year, another 10-7 or 11-6 type of year, and we get eliminated in the first round. We haven't won a playoff game since 2016. And really, there's, every year since then, there's always been the fire Mike Tomlin chance. It got really loud last year, and I really thought it was going to happen last year. But with the acquisition of both Russell Wilson and I'm the brain freeze right now. They said the 2 quarterbacks, the quarterback from Chicago,
Justin Fields.
Thank you. Fact that we got both of them, we was like, okay, let's try this out. Let's keep the steady leadership of Mike Tomlin. Let's see how this plays out. And again, it worked beautifully. Justin went to 4-2 before he was replaced. Again, a lot of people didn't like that at first, but then Russell got him to 6-1. So you can't argue with the success. And then, yes, they had a gauntlet at the end of the year, having to play Philly, who's still playing, having to play Kansas City, who very well may win it again, having to play obviously Baltimore, who definitely got their act together after some inconsistency. So those are three. All of them are potential Super Bowl teams. And even with Cincinnati, their defense is trash, but their offense is always, put up points all year. But having said that, it's just been limping in. The defense that was dominant early on, somehow either they lost their gumption. I know there was injuries and whatnot, but still, you're in the games, you got to play. And, so it totally collapsed. So now the buzz for Tomlin to be replaced is even louder than ever. Now, again, I think that if there was going to be a replacement, generally how this works, as we saw in Dallas and as we've seen in New England and whatnot, these things come pretty quickly. So we haven't heard yet from the owner of the Steelers yet, and so but the general sense is if he hasn't let him go by now, I don't know if he's going to. So then again, the Yinzers in Pittsburgh are certainly not happy. But even myself, I have to admit that it's getting to feel like when Cincinnati had Marvin Lewis as their coach for all those years. They made the playoffs every year, 10, 12 wins every year. Generally, Pittsburgh knocked them out of the playoffs. And it got to a point where it's like, we don't think we can go any further. Now, again, they get rid of him. They bring the new coach in. 1 or 2 years later, they're in the Super Bowl. They beat Kansas City and get to the Super Bowl. So I think people are saying, like, look, this is still a relatively talented team, but you need a house cleaning from top to bottom. And at this point, I can honestly say that if they did let him go, I'm not going to be upset about it. I understand it. And obviously, this is about, not just making the playoffs and getting out, that he may need to go. So again, the standard being the standard, he hasn't been living up to that standard as of late. And you hear him in the press conferences, he's very defensive and whatnot. So it may be time for a change. Rumor I was hearing around was, because I know Chucky is trying to get back into the league. So the question is whether or not what John Gruden coaches it. Now, again, I think a lot of fans would like it, but I just don't know if he's a Steelers guy, and especially with the stuff that, what got him out of the league. I don't know if the Roonies would be ones to pick up that heat, but certainly it would cause a lot of buzz in Pittsburgh if John Gruden became the next head coach of Pittsburgh. But that's to be decided later. All we know now is, we got some decisions to make in terms of the coaching staff, in terms of quarterback play. So again, do you bring Russell Wilson back, or do you let him go and do you keep Justin Fields? Is he going to be the future of your franchise? Now, for what I saw from both of them, they have still very distinct skill sets. I still haven't seen anything from Justin Fields to know that he can take you to the next level. I think Russell is still the better passer, but certainly Justin can do a lot of things with his legs, and certainly he would be the one. Again, I like having a package with him. Can he consistently win you games, game in and game out? Can he make the pass at the time in the crucial moment of the game, or is he going to try to use his legs to get out of situations? So I'm still not necessarily sold on that either, but given that they're going to be, I believe, the 21st pick in the draft, you're not going to get a top quarterback pick necessarily. So again, do you dance with the devils that you know? So again, they got some decisions to make, a lot of questions coming out of Pittsburgh, but again, certainly we crashed and burned. No excuses. Shout out to the Ravens. Now I will in earnest root for Lamar Jackson, because I got a lot of my friends who are Ravens fans and whatnot, and I understand a friendly rivalry, but I got no beef with those guys. I still think that Kansas City is going to three-peat. I'm still like Ric Flair. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. And until you beat him, and you got to go to Kansas City to try to beat him. If you can't do that, then I'm rolling. I picked those guys, as you know, at the beginning of the year. And like I said, if he does win a third in a row, I think he's on the Mount Rushmore. I don't know who he knocks off. He's on the Mount Rushmore of GOAT quarterbacks of all time. He would have done something that no quarterback has ever done. and he's still got time. He may even do more. So again, he may not knock Montana off because he'll have 4, but Montana didn't win 3 in a row. So I may go with that. But yeah, but we got Tomlin. As CJ Wilkins says, Tomlin has tenure. A tenure only buys you so much. Like I said, Marvin Lewis, he was there.
Brother Bennett,
he got his,
Brother Bennett.
Yeah.
Let's stop the Tomlin slander. I know y'all Pittsburgh fans are sad that y'all lost. However, he's one of the greatest coaches in the last 20 years. If they let him go, Pittsburgh will be in a rebuilding stage for the next 5 to 7 years. Mm-hmm. They probably won't make it to the playoffs for the next 7, because also outside of Tomlin as the coach, they have an older team. Their team is pretty old. They need to start drafting younger. As far as a quarterback, if you're looking at the time, they're going to have an issue at quarterback anyway. But you could keep both and not miss a step, or you let one go. Russ is a little older. You bring in a rookie, and then you in a rebuild anyway with the rookie. But if you keep both, I would draft a quarterback, late, one of the best available quarterbacks later in the round. I would get that quarterback, see how he fares out during the preseason. And then I might have to talk to one of them, be like, one of y'all go ahead and step away. But I think Pittsburgh is old, though. And the last thing Pittsburgh want to do is let Tomlin go. Because Chicago, I don't know if they chose a head coach, and I don't know if they're going to take McCarthy. If you take a team that has a fairly good, I can see Chicago being NFC North champions.
Listen, the two things are not incompatible with each other.
Tomlin said no. He already said don't even call.
Yeah, he can say what he wants. He doesn't have control over that. They're not gonna let him go. They're not gonna let him go. I certainly don't disagree that again. A lot of teams would pick him up in a heartbeat. But again, if you believe that you've gone as far as you can with somebody and you change, that's why I brought up the Cincinnati. That's a perfect example. Said Marvin Lewis for years, year after year in the playoffs, if not winning the division, but he couldn't get past the first round. They go to a new one. They have a down year, but they get to the Super Bowl. So, and again, if you're talking about drafting your next quarterback, younger players, you're gonna have to go through some tough times. We need a 4-13 season to get up there to get again a quality quarterback. The idea is that you drafted it in the 20s. There's only so much you can get unless you get a diamond in the rough, diamond in the rough. So again, like I said, if he stays, I'm good with it. If he goes, I will be good with it. But again, it depends on who they bring in. Now again, Noel, Cowher, and Tomlin were unknowns. So obviously they've done a good job of picking these guys from wherever. They don't go after the hot one. That's what I'm saying. Getting Chucky in there, it would be a splash, but that's not how they do business typically. They don't want a guy who's going to have all that sizzle on him. So I don't think he would be a fit. But whoever they draft, they've been good at this over the last 50 years.
What made Bill Cowher a better coach than Tomlin?
I didn't say he was.
No, I'm just saying because, he was able to step away. And then Tomlin came in, and a few years later got a Super Bowl. So to me, he gonna be at Pittsburgh till his contract run out.
I would say the only advantage at this point that Tomlin has over Cowher is that again Tomlin never had a losing season, but they both went to two Super Bowls and they both won one. So again, they are, and again Cowher stepped away, possibly they say at the right time. And so again, do you want to be let go, or do you want to walk away at a good time, or like I said, go to another opportunity? Because you're right. I think Chicago they'd be dumb not to do it. Now, I'm going to transition this. I'm going to pass off the ball to Shawnee and Dante. All right, get the heat off me for a minute. So Dallas, Got a whole lot of situations going on. Obviously, they let McCarthy go, which was weird because I thought he was. I saw a week and a half ago, Jerry was like, wasn't saying that he necessarily wanted him to go. At least I didn't get that impression that he was looking elsewhere. But I thought the firing at that time, because like I said, usually if you make a move, you do it pretty early than late. But now you got these rumors. Again, I know you guys poo-pooing it, but again, ESPN's confirming Jerry's been in contact with Dion. So again, if they're able to pull this off, you get Shador and Dion in Dallas. Now the Steelers, again, they don't like the sizzle. Jerry is all about sizzle. So if you can pull that off, then, and Dion has already said, my sons they're not going to New York and whoever else they don't deem fit. So they're going to try to finagle this. So you give I just gave my moratorium on the Steelers. I'm handing you guys the ball. You guys can give your moratorium on what's going on in Dallas and what's the future looking like in Dallas. And I will have to say this, shout out to Dallas, because I think at the end of the year, I thought they won some games. I thought they didn't quit, which I certainly respected from them, given how terrible they looked at the first half of the year. So you guys can take it from here.
All right. Well, I'll kick things off. And Andre, first things first. Andre, I saw your comment. It will be like, yes, me being with a fan of Houston sports will be the perfect, like, that would be real tough for me. So you're right on that one. CJ, part of my Facebook group. Shout out to you. Appreciate you checking out the show, brother. And as far as the Cowboys, as you can see my headline here, frustrated Cowboys fan. You're absolutely right, Mr. Bennett. They were trying to. Jerry made a lot of comments to drop hints of what was going on when he said at the end of the year, he's like, "Hey, the hay is in the barn." Which basically his decision was made. He was in contract negotiations, but something that he did leave a tidbit on one of his many national appearances on 105.3 The Fan. He said something that's like being coaching on an incentive plan, which meant that it sounded as if he wanted to do an incentive type of deal. He definitely didn't want to do a long-term deal. So if it didn't work out, he was going to go ahead and let him go. There was also the deal with some people were saying, hey, your fate is tied to the quarterback. Dak just signed up for 4 years. Give him a 4-year deal. Their fates are linked together. This is the last two coaches you've had. You've let the contract expire. Why not just go that way? You could have done anything that was smarter. And even if the coaching appeal doesn't look great because Bill Belichick's gone and everything of the sort, you don't wait until the second week with a divisional round. So that means that you can't go and interview even to get a view of the coaches that have the buys because now they're working and you can't talk to them until February. And it's just a mess. Like Troy Aikman, shout out to Troy Aikman for always standing up and saying the real about the Cowboys, saying, hey, maybe it's not that desirable of a job. And now it's a mess. I mean, they're doing the Rooney rule, satisfying it by talking to, because Dion wasn't an interview. So that one doesn't count to my knowledge.
You think he's just a Rooney requirement?
I won't say he is. I'll say that one is legitimate because he likes the sizzle. Only thing is, Coach Prime would take more cameras when Jerry does that after the game scrum. Coach Prime, and this has been reported and said by many in the media, they're going to go and follow Coach Prime for the quotes, and Jerry's going to be standing in the cold. Jerry wouldn't like that. He's played here. He would know how to handle things. I'm confident in that. I'm not confident of Coach Prime's ability to handle things as a coach. I want a coach that's centered in, hey, are you more of a defensive coach or are you more of an offensive coach? And even if you're a walk-around coach where you don't go on one side of the ball, you have your hands on your baby, which is one side. With Dion, I'm assuming that would be defense. For what I've seen from Colorado, he seems like the perfect fit as a college coach, and I do want that. Also with Shador, if it was a thing to trade, we would put yourself in cap hell by getting rid of that. I'm not sold on secure Shador as being like the slam dunk pick, But if you're already at the top of the draft, you damn right I'm taking him over Cam Ward because I feel like he's got a small edge. I'm not convinced. It's not like a year where it's the guys where it's like, hey, these guys you can't miss. So that's where I'm at with it. Robert Saleh, while I think that's a Rooney Rule requirement higher, I wouldn't mind that one. If Jason Witten gets the damn coaching job, which that's been like all types of stuff rumored around, hey man, you're not gonna. I'm checking out mentally. I'm checking out mentally as a
Mm,
fan. I'm not doing the thing where I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna. It's like no, but I would check out like seriously, like, hey, wake me up when camp starts, wake me up when the season starts. But that would frustrate me even more than what I am now.
right.
So you can go ahead and pick
And
up
just
where you
real
left
quick,
off.
just in terms of drafting, because obviously you guys are going to have a higher draft pick. What is your key? Because you got a lot of you sign your skilled players. You guys looking O line? Is that where your biggest hurt point is right now, or what do you guys think?
I,
And what are you going to do with Parsons?
anywhere, anywhere. Actually, it's at a point where you have multiple needs. Now, what you do need is you do need Lamb to have a running mate, so a receiver would look attractive. Everybody's saying Ashton Jetty, and I'm like, hey, did you see the guy in the championship game, in the semifinal game that took a 75 on the screen? Give me
Mm-hmm.
some juice like that, like so you don't have to get that juice in the first round. Like hey, Jetty's a slam dunk pick, but when you got offensive line questions, you got number two receiver questions, and you got a cheap ass ownership that's not going to spend in free agency, you have to hit that pick right. I wouldn't mind if a D lineman got there or an offense. I love Kelvin Banks, the left tackle from Texas. That's my
Mm-hmm.
dream pick.
Mm-hmm.
But anywhere you need a high end talent, because I like
Right.
building inside out.
Right. Now, before Shawnee goes, because again, I went to Dallas crowd again here. Though, shout out to that running back from Penn State. I think he looked very impressive. Scored 3 TDs in the loss
Another one.
against Notre Dame. But he could be a steal in the draft too should he decide to come out. So I was pretty impressed with him. Tough runner. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Shawnee.
there's some running backs available in the draft as far as deep. Ashton Genty, yeah, he's the highlight name, but I don't think the Cowboys need to use a first round pick. 'Cause I think he's going to get ultimately picked up in the first round, maybe early second round. If all the teams are just disciplining them, not drafting a running back in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Cowboys they have a lot. I mean, I don't. I seen Coach mention a running back and a wide. They need a wide, but that's like a mid round thing. They have so much holes. Like I said, I would have not been mad if they would have traded Dak, Lamb, and Parsons. They don't. They have so much holes. They screwed themselves up last offseason, and they don't participate in free agency. So you left yourself no chance. You complain about signing players to the money they get. And then all three of those players would have landed very high draft picks, and you just take them and just rebuild. If they participate in free agency, I believe many of the holes they had this year can be filled. But since they don't, it's just a revolving door. They just gonna keep doing the same thing. So you might as well just kind of rip the band-aid off, go through. But if you do that, then you go on to the Jerry, and the Cowboys won't be as mentioned as much because they won't be winning the games. And that's kind of he wants to keep the team and their name and the brand up on people's mouths all the time. The easiest way to lose that is have a losing squad,
Yeah.
and it can kind of be indefinite. When you rebuild, it's not a it's an indefinite amount of time. You don't know when it's going to click. I know
So
people talk about
so
Dak, but Dak, at least he's proven he's an NFL quarterback. You can look at some teams; they just been on their quarterback run and run and run and run, and you just can't get it right. You draft them high, they don't pan out, start all over again. So it's a
so
revolving door.
Sh- Shawnee, do you think this would be a conversation? And just going back to last year, if Jerry Jones would have called Derrick Henry, would we be having this Dallas rebuild conversation?
It would have definitely, it would definitely no rebuild, but from me, all I could keep thinking about, okay, you picked up Derrick Henry, but they had so much holes elsewhere. It's no,
But,
I guess to answer the
but
question, no, they won't rebuild, but they just have so many holes. So it's just
do
like
you think? Well, how many games did Dallas win this year? Five.
7.
Seven,
Seven.
seven.
Yeah,
Seven.
yeah.
They was kind of in a
I
playoff run for a little bit.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think with Derrick Henry, if they would have added Derrick Henry, that would have been a 12-win season
I don't know.
because
I don't know
because
about 12 wins, but I
come
will
on,
say
man.
now I will
Yes.
say no. The only reason I say not 12 wins is just because he wouldn't have had 1,900 yards here, but he would have had
Why
1,300.
not?
No,
Why
no, because
not? Why wouldn't he?
the
The
offensive
offensive
line,
line is the
two
offensive
things.
line. Yeah,
The
it's not
offensive
what he
line
has in Baltimore.
and and Lamar Jackson. Like you watch, did you see the play where like they gave it to Henry and the defense is just following Lamar Jackson and it's like, bro, y'all not worried about Derrick Henry, a Hall of Fame back? And it's like he just boom, it takes off. And it's like that's a different element to the game that I want to say that I know people get on the analytics people, they say it a lot. They say, look at the quarterbacks that have the running threat and watch what they I mean, look at there's no threat. Hey, Saquon Barkley is amazing, but you can't mean to tell me, ask Andre Terry, does Jalen Hurts' run threat ability help him a little bit? Now, he's not the runner that Lamar is. No one in the history of the NFL is, except for maybe Vic. That helps a running game a lot, plus a better offensive line. If you look at it, the Cowboys' offensive line was in a bit of a flux. You got Zach Martin, Hall of Fame player, was banged up and not right. You got a journeyman in behind him, so just a healthy body made the offensive line look better. You got a tackle that kept taking in and out. Yeah, the offensive line was in flux. It gelled a little bit later, but yeah, I can honestly say 1,300 yards with Derrick Henry there, but it still may not have been enough because the defense at parts was so bad. He had Parsons out
Parsons, he was out for a long
and
time. Yeah.
all those different, multiple. He missed about a month. You had the year you didn't have DeMarcus Lawrence. I loved Eric, but I don't think he would have raised it that much. But he's in the perfect situation in Baltimore.
For
Yeah,
sure.
you got to remember they lost their D tackle last year. Now they trying to have this young player, Marty Smith. He's not
Yeah,
panning out like that. They weak up the middle, so it's just they just have a lot of holes. I mean, maybe if we would have had Henry, that would have probably given them 2 more wins at least. But because they have so much holes around, I can't. It won't be like super magnified. Now, at the beginning of the season, we probably would have thought, oh yeah, this is at least another 12-win season. But when it started, and you kind of start seeing how the defense were, and then all the injuries to the defense held, and then they was already rather weak for the most part in the linebacker position. But Overshawn was showing something, and
yeah.
then he got hurt, and now it's just as the season went on, it the holes just looked too big.
Yeah, that's
That's
that's another reason why I don't want to take a running back
Yeah.
in the first round. You got to replace Overshawn because he, in his mind as a young athlete, was like, "Hey, I'm coming back next year." It's like, brother, if you coming back, you coming back at the later part of the season. We need some bodies to fill to start training camp to start the beginning of the season. So you have to take it as if he's not going to play next year, and if you get him back, that's a bonus. There's so many holes and things you need. Like Coach Bird, like I understand what you're saying about how good Derek is. But I've watched these games, and this is a team that just I don't see him getting that because they have to fight to get to the 7 wins. Now my thing is, if you're saying with a healthy Dak Prescott, I can say 10 comfortable,
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
extra two, I'm not
but
sure.
but what I'm saying is, let's just say if this would have happened with Derrick Henry, everybody's healthy at the beginning of the season. With those
Yeah,
with those holes that y'all talking about, that put a lot more stress on Dak and the other players to fill those gaps. But with
this is true.
a quality running back like Derrick Henry, especially in the cold months, as we saw, the running game was most important in the fall time of football.
Don't say
To
South
me,
Seed. He's still
to
doing
me,
it.
but to me, he would have sort of leveled it out with the line because he's damn near a lineman himself. He brings that much force in the run, and when you can rely on the listen, I'm not saying he gonna bust for 100 yards every game, but he gonna get you a consistent 70, 80 because in Dallas he is the feature. See, it's not Baltimore. Baltimore, he's the feature, but he can have a secondary in Dallas who had no running game. And I believe with Derrick Henry and this kid that was running last year,
Come
he
on,
would
Rico
have been
Dotto.
a he would have been a great little relief for that, a change of pace type. That's just my opinion. He missed out on
No,
Derrick Henry, and it's
Yeah,
going to
it
pay
it
in Dallas for years.
it would have
They're going to
helped. It
be
would have
playing with
helped.
that for years.
It definitely would have helped because you would have
So,
changed the philosophy because you wouldn't have to depend on Dak throwing the ball 40 plus times a game. It's just remember even before the injuries, that defense was weak. So
yeah,
it's like it's almost like what's the you try to cover a hole in the ship, but water
yeah.
just gonna find another
Now they're
hole
coming
to
another
come
one.
out. So it's a whole lot, you know. Basically, it goes back. That's why people appear so frustrated because they screwed up the roster.
Yeah,
There was one point they had a decent team, but you screwed up the roster because we lost more players and then we didn't sign really nobody new besides um, Hendricks, who was
Eric
free agent.
Hendricks.
Yeah. So you screwed yourself over. You would have brought some players back. Yeah, then we could look at another 12-win season potentially. But since you lost that talent, and then now you're not even performing well, yeah, you asking a whole lot for Derrick Henry to come and be your saving grace.
All right, so Shawnee. All right, Shawnee and Dante. Quickly as you wrap this up, who is the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Go.
I don't, I don't, I don't know, but I throw a name out there right now who would be a dark horse, and that'd be Kellen Moore because they like Kellen Moore. The Joneses didn't get rid of Kellen Moore. It was McCarthy.
Yeah,
Him and McCarthy had a different philosophy. McCarthy wanted to run the ball more. Kellen Moore at the time was flinging the ball all over the place, and Cowboys actually like Moore. So that's a name. Of course, he can't be interviewed right now because he got to wait till the Eagles finish the playoffs. But I would not
yeah.
be surprised if you're going to see in your headline when the Dallas Cowboys interviewing Kellen Moore.
Yeah. I'm with Shani. That's my answer too. I think that's the one where it's leaning to. I know that they're talking to other people and different things like that. And shout out to Mike McCarthy. I heard the straw that broke the camel's back in the negotiations. They wanted Jason Witten on staff, and I know I would have got disrespectful with him and told him hell no. I'd have been like, nah, we're good, and that's part of the reason it broke down. That and the number of years because you got assistant coaches that's waiting on this. They're trying to be in line with the coach to make sure that they have tenure and they can be there. So I respect them for letting it go. And people are tired of playing at Jerry's games. And I mean, I wouldn't be thrilled with Kellen Moore, but from some of the other things that I've heard, I don't want John Gruden. I don't want that. I just, I don't want the old regime and the old guard. I don't want that. I honestly want a defensive coach. So I wouldn't mind Robert Sala. He knows how to play against the Shanahan defense. I mean, the offense. And my thing is, I'm pretty sure you know some of those offensive minds that can come to be OC. I'm tired of teams being scared to get a defensive minded head coach like that defensive minded head coach can't find an offensive coach that could give him challenges to pick somebody. And then if that guy leaves for a head coaching job, that's a good problem. Find somebody else. I would have liked Aaron Glenn to get at least get interviewed, but of course he screwed that over. And plus Aaron Green looks like he's leaning toward the Jets. So
Mm.
I'm hoping if
Now
it's not Kellen Moore,
let
it's
me ask you
somebody
guys.
decent.
Let me ask you guys something. And again, not trying to stir any controversy here, but do you think Dallas has never had a black head coach, correct? Is Jerry? Would you think Jerry is open to that? Is that something that wouldn't be an issue? Him bringing in a black head coach in Dallas?
I I think he will be open to it if it existed. And what I mean, Jerry, you hear the reports out there. They like coaches that they basically feel comfortable with.
Mm.
Um, it's not too many black coaches that I can remember. I mean, I can think of some. Say for example, if Aaron Glenn was a coordinator for the Cowboys, you know, I think he and they produce like they produced last year. The defense was good last year, and they did that. I think he would have had a good chance of being a head coach if he was on the staff because he was already there.
Mm.
They don't have that much. The only black coach I can remember on the staff was back when who Dante, who was that He was a passing coordinator, defensive
Rashard. I
coordinator.
know Rashard,
Yeah, yeah,
the defensive coordinator that they love with. And my thing
yeah.
is, I think he would, but Rashard, his defense kind of went down. But my thing
Exactly,
is, it could have
exactly,
been the kind of situation. Jerry's about comfort. So, in my
exactly.
opinion, if well, who was the DC this year? It was Mike Zimmer, right? If Mike Zimmer wasn't the defensive coordinator, but instead it was Al Harris, and Al Harris had been here a number of years, so for the comfortability, he would have interviewed him off the rip. It follows the Rooney Rule. I'm comfortable. He's in the building because I think to an extent Jerry knows, hey man, this ain't like no this. Not only am this franchise not like anywhere else. Hey man, I'm gonna be on the radio 2 times a week, and it's this things is I got a tour while you're practicing. You got to have somebody that's not gonna be shell shocked when you come here and see this. So it would have been a Richard, would have been like a Al Harris. It would have been like I don't put Coach Prime in there because that's the anomaly because he's like a supernova that you don't get a lot. If it's somebody like that's in the building, but you can't even tell me the same guy that has what's his name is slipping my mind right now. That's in the front office. Will McClay. Will McClay working hand in hand, basically running the draft. Someone like that. That's a de facto. If you make it a three-headed monster, him, um, Jerry, Steven is basically the GM. They get like a 33%, each of a whole. Jerry just gets all the credit and all the talking. I
Mm.
do think there's a black coach that could get hired, but his requirements are I don't want to hire a first time head coach, even though Kellen Moore wouldn't fit that. But Kellen Moore supersedes that is that I want to say somebody said it like this. You can't have everything that he doesn't want. You got to either be comfortable with him and then that's Kelly Moore, or you can't be a first time head coach. That's Ben Johnson. He doesn't know you, Ben Johnson. He doesn't know you. Now, Aaron Glenn, he has a little bit of knowledge with him, and I think he could have swayed him maybe if he gets the interview. But if he can get a head coach, but you got to meet the comfort threshold. You've got to been in Dallas. So if you were a former player that's a coach, I think that would work. Like say, for instance, say if like a Dez or somebody was a former player, went on to be a head coach, got in the coaching ranks, that's somebody he would hire and feel comfortable with. Because you got to know how this program works. And that's just that. So.
Gotcha. Coach Berg, do you want to chime in on this in terms of who the next head coach of Dallas will be? Not what you necessarily want, but just your gut, who it will be. And a question from C.J. Jenkins for the panel: does Dallas need to blow it up and rebuild at this point?
Kind of like
so
I answered earlier. I text him, but yeah, well at the time, but it's kind of too late because I was talking about trading Dak, Lamb, and Parsons, but now it's kind of too late.
I wouldn't say rebuild, other than I think you could do a quick rebuild, and that would hurt, and that would trade Parsons at his height of his value. If you move Parsons as a young player, you can get 2 to 3 first round picks, and then you can make it work with that. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. That's why I'm hoping they just fix some pieces in the draft and then go on about their business.
That's basically all they got now.
Listen.
all right, Coach. Who is the next head coach? I would recommend you. I think you would do a much better job. That being said,
I would.
Who's the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Listen, I am the head coach. Brother Bennett, you the strength coach. Dante, you the line coach. Shawnee, you the receiver coach. And I'm the quarterback and running back coach. And we can all work on special teams shit. If I can kick a 32-yard field goal, goddamn, they have to be able to make all 32-yard field goals is all I got to say. But as far as head coach, I think it's really too early to have a solidified candidate. I think Dion has the inside track, but it's going to be up to him to choose that position. If Dion elects not to, then if I say a first choice black coach, I would go with Brian Flores, hands down. I would take him hands down.
I was thinking about that.
But offensive coach, because Dak is going to need a good offensive coach. I can see Kellen Moore. I can see him coming in. It's not a lot of black coaches that would get the opportunity in Dallas. I can see Dion, Brian Flores, just because the defense is what needs a lot of help in Dallas. It seems like every year, and he could probably change that whole dynamic.
What?
But
Well, Coach, you
Two.
brought up the name. You
I'm
brought up the
sorry.
name, and you know, away from the Cowboys, because there's plenty of other teams that need coaches. Do you think Brian Flores? Because I understood. Because I mean, we was talking. I think we was doing the show when it happened. We were like, did this dude screw himself over when he filed that
Yeah, we did
lawsuit?
that.
Because remember, it all happened when I think it happened right when he was about to interview with the Texans,
Yeah, yeah, he
and
was
he
getting ready
became a
to interview.
finalist. He was a finalist, and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden, suddenly cause I think he had an opportunity between the Texans and I believe the Giants,
it was the
and,
Giants.
and
No, it was
yeah,
the
that
Giants
yeah,
because that's another reason why Bill Belichick is a little radioactive. Not just the bridges he's burned, but he's tied to that lawsuit because it was classic old man stuff. He texted Brian Flores. He's like,
yeah,
"Hey, you got the job," and he thought he was texting Brian, the coach at the Giants. Now he thought he was texting that Brian. It was the wrong Brian, and he was like, "Oh, really?" And then it
Brian
was just
Dayball.
like Dayball, and that so he's linked to that. And I think a lot of teams are staying away from
Yeah,
Flores.
when
Obviously,
that
they're staying
happened, I
away
was
from
like,
Belichick.
dude,
It's just
it's
crazy.
it's
I think he
I
can
don't
still
know.
get an opportunity just because he was able to get a coordinator job in Minnesota.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
DC. He
I
was
hope he
DC in
I,
does.
Minnesota.
yeah,
Although that
I think
last
he can get an
game,
opportunity.
yeah, we're gonna move
Yeah.
to that next segment. Talk about the playoffs, but obviously
Let me
that
throw
yeah.
this in there. Let me throw this in there real quick. I can
Okay.
see Detroit's defensive coordinator landing a head coaching job. I can see it.
Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, I can
And
see
Yeah,
them
that's
getting
why
sure.
that
they
going.
Yeah, we
pissed
talked.
off
Yeah,
at the Cowboys up here because they let go of McCarthy so late they couldn't interview either one of them two, Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn.
Yeah,
They have to wait until after the playoffs. By that time,
yeah.
it can be, it's gonna be a lot of teams asking coming from both of them coordinators.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel y'all in the chat. I see somebody say that Jerry was wrong for not letting him go and interview. He was wrong for that. I didn't like that at all. But I did hear today Mike McCarthy actually got picked up with by a private jet and flown out to Chicago. So when they pick you up with the private with the PJ, that
McCarthy be
means
all
that
right.
that might be getting escalated. So which
Yeah,
is crazy. It's
McCarthy be
crazy
all
when you
right.
think of it. As hated as he was at his tenure in Dallas, which I didn't just hate him like that. I just felt it was time for a change. But yeah, it
right.
looked like he might be getting another job either here
After 12
or
win seasons, at least you get to
after
12
12
wins.
seasons.
I get 10-7 season. I'm keeping mine. So
Yeah,
give him
people,
credit.
they want stuff. They want
I give him
championships
credit
and
for that.
nothing else.
I give him credit and I give him props for being a different level of coach than we had before. Because Garrett got real stale. So did he. But it was
Hey,
like
it
certain
wouldn't
things we
surprise
did.
me if that's his son. That's his son. It's like Jason, come back home, man.
They
Well,
had to go
you
tell
still
Jason
starting.
in the office somebody else had the job. That's don't let me mad again.
I'm
That
saying he
was
may say Jason Garrett, come back home, man. We don't run it back.
Did y'all talk about the college football playoffs
Now
yet?
we're moving
we
on. We're
only
going to
touched
talk
on it
about that
briefly.
last.
We're gonna get
So the title game is obviously Monday, so we'll talk about that in our closing block. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just quickly and let's do this like in a round robin format to save time. Obviously, my favorite part of the NFL year is the wild card weekend. Some crazy games over the weekend. So any commentary on any of the games, I'll start first. I was actually shocked, Shawnee, at Houston dominance really over the Texans, especially given those early turnovers. And that offense just went stale. They just couldn't score a lot of drop passes, especially by that tight end. But I was not expecting a blowout by Houston over the Chargers. I thought Chargers were going to make some noise in the playoffs this year. So I was really surprised about that. But again, we can all go around. We can take a game that you saw or that you want to comment on, and then we'll move on to the college playoffs and to close out the show.
I guess I started off there. Of course, I start with the Texans. Yeah, they won, but I'm still looking at that offense. That offense is just not clicking properly. They won because they had, they had plays all over the place. I mean, hell, you returned a extra point because the field goal kicker decided to bat the ball on the ground for whatever
Yeah,
reason, like he was
yeah,
going to kill the ball, and you ran it in for 2 points. So that offense is still not that clicking. I don't. Stroud, he's kind of, he's throwing into some making ill-advised passes or whatnot, and kind of remind me of another quarterback. So you just want us to go through quickly the 4 games or just one game?
Well, if you want to like highlight a game,
Oh,
like I
okay,
said,
okay.
I picked that game because that was like the biggest. Well, that and the Rams game were probably my two biggest stunners. Like I was not expecting those outcomes, so I just kind of highlighted certainly the Chargers game. But you can talk about any game that you want,
Okay.
regarding the
Yeah,
wild card weekend. Then we'll pass it around.
it was a good win for the Texans. I want to see more from the offense. I picked the Rams to win. I just didn't know it was going to be in that fashion. I was I was really hoping Darnold will have a good game. I would like for him to get his payday, similar to like Geno Smith. Boys who kind of went through the league, but they finally found a team that can, Baker Mayfield is one. Now that was a good game. But one thing I wanted to say, because they end up winning. The Commanders, Jalen Daniels, he's reminded me so much of C.J. Stroud in his rookie
Mm-hmm.
year, and the fact that I don't maybe if I compare and have their stats side to side, they may look pretty much damn similar. But I'm more looking at the reception he's getting because both of them came into the scene as rookies, shined bright. I think they both ended up with 10 wins in their first season and made the playoff, won their first playoff game. And the media is just shining on them, shining on them, shining on them. And I can remember exactly they kept doing that to Stroud, and then all of a sudden when the next season started, you putting this unreal expectation on them as a entering their second year. They already having the Texans potentially make it to the AFC Championship game because how Stroud played and all that, and you just putting all this pressure on them. And I'm seeing them doing the exact same thing to Jaden Daniels. I'm like, just let him play, just let him play, because you just don't know. Because you see him now, because Stroud came out the second season and it don't look like his first season. You already talking about people. He's they're not saying bust, but he like a one hit wonder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, damn, it's only his second year in the league. So, but it's just a matter. I'm seeing the exact same thing. I'm like, damn, they just so similar. But yeah, I think it was successful. But yeah, I think the best game was the Commanders and Bucks.
Gotcha. Shawnee, biggest takeaways from the wild card weekend?
Biggest takeaway, it looked down there like college football playoffs. I was like how everybody was complaining about college football. Some teams are getting blown out; they shouldn't be in there. Well, the NFL don't do that. Your record determines you're gonna be in the playoff.
Yeah.
So, like y'all gonna complain the same way like y'all did in college football because a lot of these blowouts are happening. It's just not. But that blowout between the Ravens and the Steelers, I made a comment. I'm like, damn, Steelers, y'all gonna play like that? You should just put the Bengals in there. At least I know there was an offense that showed up. That offense just looked.
It's morbid. It's absolutely. But again, enough about me. I'm not even a dance anymore. So move on. All right, Dante, take it away. Your biggest takeaway from the wild card weekend. What game stood out to you the most?
One of my biggest takeaways is that I know you were harping about the Steelers, and man, the Steelers need some explosion. I mean, that offense, they need some explosion. They need a couple of receivers, and they might need to with his temperament. It might be needing for a change of scenery for George Pickens, and then maybe that change of scenery when the teams aren't jumping down his throat with a free agent contract. He'll see if you want to make some good money, you got to shut the hell up. You got to keep your head down and go make some plays and be productive. Like just some of the things that his comments that really jumped out to me. But as far as that, I'm with you, Shani. The play in the first round was they said the ratings dipped a little bit. Should have, because after the Ravens and Steelers game was when I was excited to see. I had to fight over between Peppa Pig and dinosaurs to watch that one. And so I'm fighting over there. I was like, man, we might as well watch some kids movies, man. This was over. But I will say this: Philadelphia has the recipe to beat the Lions, but they not impressing me with how they doing. I'm not impressed with what I'm seeing. And Jordan Love, you couldn't have gave me that goddamn game last year in the wild card round. You couldn't have played like that. You played and got that. I guess the money was on the line. You got that contract last year against me. Now you play against the Eagles. You just no touchdown, 3 picks. But that my biggest takeaways is also let's let the divisional round is normally the best round. I'm hoping it lives up to the billing because this wild card round was pretty weak.
Gotcha. Coach, biggest takeaway from the wild card weekend. Any games that stuck out in your mind?
I'm not surprised by any of the results because I'm always say this time of year, it's your defense and your running game. The teams with the best running game and a good solid defense will always more than likely come out the victor. Um, let me see. As far and I'll just say this real quick. With the Texans game, I'm not surprised that they won because Stroud has yet to have that top tier game all season. I think he's due to have a big game, a real big game, maybe 300 yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns. As far as, again, I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, and if him and Derrick Henry can continue to be that tandem, I can see them meeting the Chiefs, but the Chiefs gonna have their hands full with Baltimore this week, and we
No,
have
they play
two teams.
Yeah, they play Houston this week.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I can see, we have 2 teams left over that play in domes, Texans and Detroit.
Mhm.
Those are the only 2 that's left over that playing in domes.
Well, no. Texans again. They're going to go to
The
Kansas
Rams.
City, so
On the
they're going to be
road.
outside.
The Rams, the Texans, and Detroit. And the Rams play Detroit right this week.
No, the Rams play the Eagles. They're going up to
Yeah.
Philly.
Okay, so I can see Philly coming out victorious. All the outside teams gonna win this week. Any dome teams, they gonna lose. But yeah, this is a good time, man. Football, run the game. I would advise all coordinators: first down, run the ball. First down, run the ball.
Right. I got you. Now, again, we got to talk before we move into the college to close out the show. To me, the biggest game this weekend is obviously the Ravens have to go to Buffalo. That's going to be the matchup to watch. Buffalo, I believe, has already beaten the Ravens this year. They're both.
The Ravens beat them.
Oh, the Ravens beat the Bills. My bad.
Yeah, the Ravens beat them. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So again, in Buffalo, both of these guys are cold weather teams, so they're used to playing in the cold weather. So again, how do you see that game matching? In fact, we can quickly just kind of go over. I think Coach already kind of gave his overview in terms of winners losers, but again, that game in particular, Shawnee, who comes out on top on that one?
I'm gonna give the edge to the home team because people talking about the quarterbacks, but James Cook is coming alive in these playoffs. And later in the season, I think he's gonna be big.
Running back.
Yeah, so in this case, I think these are 2 fairly equal teams. I'm just going to give, because if there's any team that has a home field advantage in this league as far as with everything, crowd and elements, it's Buffalo. And so I'm gonna give them the edge.
Gotcha. Dante, you still there? So
I'm still here. Yeah, man, I'm giving the edge in that game because this is big for both players' legacies. More so for Lamar because in his back pocket he's probably going to win his MVP. But they're going to be like, hey, at least Josh Allen almost in 26 seconds, and he almost beat Patrick Mahomes, and that's what they always. And he beat him and stopped him from being undefeated this year. They're always going to lean on that for him. For Lamar, I mean, I can hear hink in my head. Hey, but the playoffs, but the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And it's been right so far. So he had his best playoff game last week. I think he's going to take that momentum. And I will say, Baltimore doesn't have a great defense like traditionally, like they used to historically. They have more defense than the Bills. What I saw from the Bills was them just getting shredded. I have no faith that they're going to win this one at all, even though Josh Allen, great year, MVP type season. But I think Lamar Jackson and that Derrick Henry combo, Zay Flowers might be coming back from injury. I think they do just enough to beat them. Because I don't think you're just going to run the ball on them. I think Roquan Smith, all pro. I think they're going to do enough to neutralize James Smith, but I don't think you're stopping Derrick Henry.
Gotcha. And Coach, I'm sorry, what was your pick, Coach, for that game? Ravens, Bills?
I'm going to go.
Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Baltimore about 3.
Baltimore. Okay, so yeah, definitely that's going to be a tight one. So definitely looking forward to that.
Real quick, Mr. Ben,
Definitely
I
looking
just
forward to
looked at
that.
the forecast. It's gonna be 22 degrees down.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know
Yeah,
if
man,
snow.
it
I
was
don't know if
crazy.
snow is going to be in the
See,
forecast, but
And
yeah,
it's
it's
an
going to be.
evening game, so it's gonna be cold. It's an evening game. I'm like, oh hell
Yeah,
Right,
it's
yeah.
right.
5:30, 5:30 kick.
Yeah.
see, you Texas boys ain't used to that type of weather, man. Y'all
Nah,
ain't
man.
used to that.
Nah. We got
Yeah,
we
look,
had we had them 20
that's
something
just
last
walking in the
week.
cold, not playing no football in the cold. It's
That's
gonna be a high
crazy.
of 22, a
Yeah.
low of 8. Oh man,
Nah, man.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving into the last segment of the show is again. So we have the college football championship. It's hit on Monday the 20th, and some good, certainly better games than I expected. Well, I will say this, relatively good because I thought the Notre Dame Penn State game, it looked better than it did in that I thought both teams. I think they both struggled with quarterback play. Like I wasn't impressed with either quarterback in the game, and I think and what really hurt Penn State was it goes back to the opening drive of the game. You got your first and goal. You throw the pass out. Guy has an easy walk-in touchdown. He drops it. You settle for 3. That's the difference in the ball game. And so it came back to bite him in the end. But I thought it was a good game to watch. I wasn't necessarily impressed with either team in terms of, oh my gosh, those are those guys, because the Penn State quarterback, I mean, that interception he threw at the end, horrible, threw it across his body. You just can't make that pass. And again, I felt bad for the running back who had 3 TDs in the game. Certainly, that's a guy, like I said, to watch. Again, 2 black head coaches, in college football. So again, love to see that. And obviously, we're going to have a black coach certainly in the national championship game for the first time. So I feel good for Notre, even though I don't necessarily like Notre Dame. I mean, no offense, they're almost like the Cowboys. It's like one of them national teams that is just like, I don't understand what the buzz is, but see, he certainly seems to be a guy that you can certainly root for, and certainly I think a lot of 4 and 5 star recruits who may have not always looked at Notre Dame to play in, I think he could be the kind of guy that can bring a lot of those guys to his program, just with his energy and swagger that he has. So again, what were your reflections on the game itself? I thought, but as soon as I saw that first play of the game when they had to settle for a field goal, I'm like, this is going to be a tight. I don't care how far the score got later on, but I just think that was an opportunity. You just can't at that level. You just can't drop passes like that. Who wants to take it on first? You go ahead, Dante. Why don't you take it first, and then
Man, just I was watching that game later and seeing how it was breaking down, and the fact that James Franklin gets a lot of grief nationally about, oh man, him in big games, and it was just like you got the running back is killing it, and if you're making an aggressive decision to go for it, if you just need a ball and take it to overtime, you're guaranteed to get a possession. It's a smart shorter end of the field, and you got the running game. Yeah, golly, you think about that, but at the same time, you're trusting a veteran quarterback, and it's just like you can't make that throw.
yeah,
You just can't make that throw at that time. You got to throw it away, eat the sack, and then get to anything but that. It kind of reminds me of that Ray Lewis clip. Just don't turn it over. Like, and it's like, damn, and it hurts. He got to sit on that, come back another year, and see what he's got. But it's just like, it just crushed everything they had going. But like, Notre Dame hats off to them. Their defense is stingy. I don't know if they have enough to keep up with Ohio State. But
mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Shawnee, what were your thoughts on the game for what you saw?
You just on out the whole CFP. Well, that was a good game between Notre Dame and Penn State. Both teams, you could tell they more defensive minded. Um, Whatever they get from their offense is a bonus for the most part. They got strong rushing games, what Penn State does. Notre Dame they were just hella scrappy and resilient, and you can just see uh, Marcus Freeman's fingerprints all over that roster, just the way they play. That was a huge turnover at the end of that game, because hell, I believe they had a turnover right before and they just got it right back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good game. And then in the other one, I thought those were just two fairly equal teams. But the thing, if you go back, it was really two plays between that Texas Ohio State game.
Mhm.
Texas just scored, and for whatever
That
reason,
screen.
I don't know if there was a prevent defense or what. That screen, and you can hear the play call. They mentioned it. Hey, who knows? This screen can go for 75 yards and a touchdown, and the exact thing happened because everybody was, for whatever reason, they were so worried about a play getting behind them because it was the end of the half.
Yeah, and
Everybody
he
was just trying
blitzed
to
him.
play down the field, and he just pretty much once the running back got the ball, who was that, Henderson? Once he
Yeah,
got the ball,
Henderson.
he just had a convoy. He just took off, and then of course when they was on the 1 yard line, and
First and goal from the one.
I did not like that play calling
Mhm.
because Ohio State, if anything, they was looking for the
Mm-hmm.
run at the goal line. Texas in the second half was killing Ohio State with those screens, screen
Yeah,
after screen, and then because they had to hurry up and get the ball out of Ewer's hands because that dude is a statue. And if they would have hit a screen and get outside, because it was the screens and the two plays that blew that rail route to the running back. They
yeah,
was killing Ohio State with that. They would have had. I would have designed a play, either a wide receiver, a quick wide receiver screen, or set the formation to make it look like it would have been a wide receiver screen, fake that way, and come back and hit Blue on the other side with this rail, because he would have 1-on-1. But they tried to go to the middle and then was a pitch, and Ohio State was playing run that whole time. And this coming off the fact that their secondary had back-to-back pass interference. So I did
and,
not like
and
that play calling at all.
Sarkisian has to fix the problems. The season ended the same way last year in the red area, in the red zone, trying to get a touchdown. And a note about the game that they won't confirm. If you wonder, hey, you have Arch Manning to come in for the Arch package. If you wonder why he wasn't in the game, he did have his helmet with him. It was reported or rumored that he had a concussion when he had that big run on fourth down earlier in the fourth quarter. And it's just kind of like it was kind of rumored that's why he wasn't in the game. I don't care who was in the game. Those that play calling at the one was absolutely,
It
it
was
was
terrible.
abysmal. And
Mhm.
and I'm tired of fans doing this. If you're really a fan of football, everyone can, I talked about Quentin Ewers earlier. You're getting on him about the sack fumble. What happens in a sack fumble? He got sacked, right?
Mhm.
Did anybody, and I love Cam Williams, did anybody see Cam Williams on that play that was just like, and I saw heard somebody say the way he looked on that play is like he was trying to give up that sack. I know he had an ankle injury. If it was that bad, I wouldn't say it to the Texas staff as well. I don't know if it got worse during the game. Maybe he shouldn't have played. If he was that bad, like that crucial of a part of the game, and you don't even get your quarterback time, it's like boom, you beat him immediately. And I saw it, and I was just like, when the quarterback you get hit like that, it's just like, gosh. And it's just like it was tough. And it's just the craziest thing to me is if you tell me in that game Jeremiah Smith has one catch for 3 yards, and you just tell me that and don't tell me anything else, I was like, oh, that's easy money.
Yeah, they
But
they played hella defense on that
they,
day.
they they played hella coverage to him, and it's like the running backs were the difference. So like Coach Spurs say, man, you gotta never forget about the running back. The running back scored all the touchdowns in the game, except for the defensive touchdown.
Gotcha, gotcha. Coach, thoughts on either game? I don't know which one did you see, both the games, or let's give me your thoughts on what you were able to see.
Yeah, of course, I watched both games, and I said last week, Ohio State over Texas, Notre Dame over Penn State.
You picked them. You picked them.
Texas, I don't think, Texas is all right, but I don't think they had that toughness as Ohio State. Again, warm weather teams are great in September, man. You can take your pictures with the family. You can do all that. When that weather changes a little bit, the game changes to me. And I think Ohio State, you know, I saw a difference in the speed and the preparation. I think Ohio State's coach had a lot more to lose than Texas's coach, because he had already lost to Michigan. So you either go national championship or bust, basically, after you lose to Michigan. So I think, the players were a little bit more motivated. Notre Dame, I like what Freeman is doing. He's he's a player's coach, and it shows because the game was sort of getting tight towards the end, and his players just kept finding a way to make the play. So I think that fares well this time of the year. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by the outcomes. Penn State, they never really had anything that I was impressed with. They always gonna get you 9 to 10 wins, but hey, my national champion, I'm gonna take Notre Dame, man. That's what I'm taking.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Going for the upset. Going for the upset. I tell you, I thought the Texas game, so I didn't comment on it. I thought the Texas Ohio State game certainly a lot closer than what the final score indicated for sure. I think Texas certainly was right there. Now the commentators did say when they did get to the one that this is like the stingiest defense in terms of
Yeah.
red zone defense, and they made the plays at the end of the game when they had to. You can say the play calls or whatever, but they stepped up when they needed a big play and they got it. So I got to give credit to Ohio State because I didn't think the offense was, they had those splash plays. Like the one play before the half was I think either before the half or after the half, but it was like
It
a
was right
75-yard
before the
touchdown or whatever.
end of
So
the first.
again,
Yeah.
they had a couple splash plays, but I thought Texas was right there, and again, very very entertaining games, very competitive out, and again, I think that people will be pleased watching this one. I think Notre Dame, even though I still can't see it, but I guess they garner a certain national fandom, especially some old timers or whatnot. So I think they'll be certainly excited to watch. And again, I think certainly for a lot of folks, we're going to be seeing if Freeman, if he can, be that guy. A lot of emphasis was paid to Prime this year and what he's been doing in college football, but Freeman's been, I guess, quietly going about his business. And we'll see if he can certainly be the first black coach to win a national championship. And I think that would certainly be an historic occasion as well. So definitely rooting for that. Anybody interested in a ticket? The cheapest ticket is $1,100 and try to go to the game. So again, it's definitely a sell, but definitely looking forward to a good contest. Just overall, what are your reflections on the CFP? Do you like the 12-team system? You hate it? You want to keep it at 12? What would you change, if anything, going forward? I thought, Sean, you had some comments on it last week, so you might want to highlight those.
I said I liked it because it brought eyeballs back to bowl season because unfortunately players just not playing no more. So the 12-team playoff kind of stretched it to include other bowl games. So now it has you watching all of these playoff games. You already know when they stretched it out because you already knew the other 8 teams from the 4 that they had, they were not going to be up to par compared to some of the other teams. So there's going to be a strong chance of blowouts, but it's a chance for the fan base to host a game. But yeah, I enjoyed it because it brought back fans.
Gotcha. Hey, hello, how are
Yeah.
you? Hey, Dante, what you got, man? So, like it, hate it, improve. How would you improve it? What are your thoughts on this first year with the 12-team system?
I was intrigued, obviously, because my team was in there. But I'll say this: it does need a few tweakings. I love the home field thing. As far as like I had SMU, a Dallas team up there in Penn State in the cold. You had Texas at home in Austin. That was a cool thing, a unique thing where you got a guy from Austin. The safety was from Austin, from Texas. Well, 2 of the safeties and the quarter. It just it was such a unique thing to see that kind of matchup in Austin and in which if that happens again, I'm gonna have to shoot down there to catch one of those games because it was a good atmosphere. I really like that. I do think that I will say that Texas playing bad against Arizona State saved the whole. Hey, they didn't deserve that seeding because they really had that game in hand. They had it in hand, so that saves them for that. I mean, Boise State did okay. So I will say, hey, pick the team that you feel is the best. Don't just go with the big dogs. Pick the team that you feel is best on the seeding wise. I would like it if they just go through, hey, the only teams in here are 1 through 12. Don't have someone else ranked and just take it to, hey, 1 through 12 is in here and go from there. But maybe tweak it, maybe reseed it because you can say that Oregon caught a raw deal. But hey, man, you had a week's rest And it is what it is. I'm not crying out too much for them, but I will say they might look at reseeding. But overall, I'm surprised that I liked it as much.
Definitely, definitely. Coach, thoughts on the 12 team playoff? Liked it, hated it. What would you improve?
I liked it. Only concern I had was that teams are some teams got up to 15 game seasons, basically an NFL season. I
Mm-hmm.
think that
Okay,
would be my only concern, just the length. But I like the
what's your
format. Um, I do think going forward, teams should adapt the model that Colorado adapted with its star players. Put some insurance out on them, so you can get that quality of a game. Uh, so I think it was a good thing for college. It brings more fans out, increases the paydays, of course. But yeah, it's cool, man. 12 teams. I will leave it at 12. This 12 is good. No more than two losses, depending on everybody else's record. Three lost teams now. Two lost teams, you win your conference or whatever, and you still playing good football. Yeah, I can see that happening. So, what
Yeah,
are the
I can see that
seeds?
too.
What
Yep.
what are the two seeds in it now? A 5 and a 6 or something? Or like two
It's an
low
eight.
seeds.
It's an
Yeah,
8 and a. Hold on. I
I
was
gotta
looking
go
for
look
the
and see what
like a
their
5
seed
or
is.
Yeah,
something.
it says not
Ohio
7 and 8.
State.
7-8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, 7 8.
See,
Yeah.
so Oregon was a wash, which I assumed that was going to be the case. But yeah, see, this just brings more excitement. Nobody expected these two teams to be in the championship at all, and now we on the brink of history within its first year.
Hmm.
With Marcus Freeman. So yeah, Notre Dame, man, by 10.
Notre Dame by 10s. Oh man, this the
Yeah,
You know
line
what?
right now is OSU -8. Over and
Mhm.
under is 45.5. You take the over under.
Notre
What
Dame
are
by
you taking?
10. Notre Dame by 10,
Notre Dame.
28
Well,
to 21.
well, if I believe if you watch I saw like some film how Texas was playing. Who's a young stud?
Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, Notre Dame has a good defense. If they, how NFL is a copycat league, I'm pretty sure college football is the same way. If you have the players, if the talent kind of matches. The way that Texas played Ohio Smith, they damn near had like a 3-man bracket. It was unique, but it was hellified effective. I mean, it took apart OSU passing game. Notre Dame has the defensive players. They may just kind of do that and see how it goes. Because offensively, they just got to scrap. But they defensively, if they defense can get after Ohio State, I can see. Coach, they say you need to be drug tested with your with your.
Uh,
It's all right. Don't y'all do too many drugs over the weekend. I tell you that. Come holler at me on Wednesday.
I hear you. I hear you. All right, so we come, gentlemen. I guess towards the end of the show, so I guess we're at final thoughts. So I guess I'll lead off first. Again, Steelers. A lot of question marks, a lot of gaps filled, whatnot. But like I said, I'm turning off all the noise. I'm kind of going on a Steeler fast. So again, don't reach out to me. With the blogs, I turned off my notifications. I can't hear from Steelers Nation right now. I'll just wait till the dust settles. But fortunately for us, we don't have that far to go because in March you already start talking about the draft and everything else. So again, I like the fact that football is basically becoming a 12-year activity, professional football. So I'll have the chance to focus on that. But still a lot of great football over the weekend that I will be watching, and certainly looking forward to it. But certainly appreciate you guys being on tonight. So, Shawnee, you want to take it next?
um, I don't know if I can even find it anymore, but I saw an interesting graphic because I know it was weird because it was kind of like people just couldn't fathom the thought about Tomlin and should he leave Pittsburgh because nationally he was so revered, but locally
mhm.
within the city they was actually like we want to change. This year, after the loss to Baltimore, now you're starting to see some of the national media entertain the thought of it. And I know, people with Tomlin, 'cause I saw a stat on here. He damn near has an identical, like as far as total big victories and whatnot, as Mike McCarthy. And I think
Hmm.
Mike McCarthy is actually slightly better.
Right.
So they it just goes to show you, I guess, in the football world how one coach is viewed compared to another one. I mean, they, and I'll put Sean Payton in that same thing. They they all have just one Super Bowl victory, so a lot of their attention is from that one, you know, ring. And yeah, Tomlin never had a losing season, but he hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. At least McCarthy won one. You know, but I think if the Steelers do go, it just remind me of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was an excellent team with Tony
Tony
Dungy,
Dungy, yeah.
but they just
Mhm.
needed a change of voice, and that's when Gruden came. And that's sometimes that's all it is all that you need. It's not like you're a bad coach, but if that coach been there for a while and it's kind of hitting the wall. Sometimes you just need a different message to come bring it up. So they're kind of similar in Philly when Andy Reid left, but they didn't see those results until a couple of years later. But it happens.
Yeah. Dante?
Man, what I had to say on this one is my closing thoughts is actually the Steelers are in that tough spot. Tomlin is so good that he doesn't have allow them to lose. And you guys, I was looking at some stats. You guys really keep the first round pick a lot, other than when they trade for Mika Fitzpatrick. You stand standard, hey, your first, your second, your third. Don't do a lot of movement, and that's tough to get a quarterback. Either you have to something has to go crazy, you have to lose
Right.
out. And the thing is, the thing that might lead the Steelers to getting their next franchise quarterback would actually lead to them losing Mike Tomlin if they wouldn't keep the patience to where the city might go on fire if hey they go 4-12 or 4-13 and 4-13, and then you up there high enough to get the quarterback, and then you lose the coach. So that's where things get tough because the things that been eking out, like I know in Dallas right now, it's eking out that hey, well, Coach McCarthy didn't like that, Dak didn't like McCarthy, and all those things come out when the coach leaves. Those things start to come out when you have that tough season. In that tough season, immediate things leak out, and then the locker room is lost. So I do think something that might help the Steelers turn around and get back to championship contending path might be losing and either losing Mike Tomlin or losing enough to lose Mike Tomlin. So that's
Yeah,
that's the
for
weird
sure.
paradox that they're in.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Coach, last thoughts?
Hey man, to CJ, yeah, man, drug test me, man. Drug test me, man. Yeah, that's why I'm looking at it from an athletic point of view. So salute to the athletes, whether D1, D2, or D3, man. We all put lives on the line for a sport that we love, man. So salute. Uh, you know, for the college again, I'm just gonna take Notre Dame for the win, man, by 10. Um, the playoff weekend, man, I'm excited for it again. You're gonna see the teams that can run the ball prevail. Who has the best balanced attack? Uh, I'm excited to see how the teams with the bye fare. You know, um, Kansas City, they won some close games. Well, half their games they won were close games. So I'm anxious to see how a team can come in and really put together a game plan to have a solid 4-quarter game. Other than that, man, listen, man, this is that time of year, man. So all former D2 athletes, man, everybody, all of us, get in shape, man. Let's do it, man. Everybody's on a 15, 20-pound weight loss regimen. If you need to know how to lift weights, watch Brother Bennett, man. He's over lifting cars and houses for weights and shit. You know what I'm saying? He's making us all look bad, man. So, hey, man, listen, let's catch up to, to what's going on, man. Take care of ourselves, man. Take care of your health, man. Get your checkups, man. Start the new year off right, man. Go to the doctor. Don't try to be a hero. You know what I'm saying? So just, yeah, man, eat better, exercise. And, let's watch the Cowboy fans cry until now and into the draft, man. That's what they're going to do anyway, man. Everybody, half my friends are Cowboy fans, and everybody cries, man. So
I hear you guys. Hey, well, again, thanks. Good show tonight. Good topics. Like I said, a lot of excitement. I love when you got multiple sports going on at the same time, and you just want to be diligent and make sure you give each sport its proper time to go over some things. So definitely looking forward to this weekend. As we wind down, obviously the college season, and we'll start to narrow down to the Final Four in the NFL. So definitely looking forward to chopping up with you guys next week. And again, shout out to those in Cali who are still going through and whatnot. Certainly prayers for you guys, and just stay safe out there. But until we meet again next time, I'm Mr. Bennett. He is Shawnee. He is Dante, and always the coach with the sage advice. It's good seeing you guys. You guys have enjoyed the rest of your week. You guys take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.
See y'all next week, man.